The threat we face today surpasses anything since the Cold War. For decades, many believed that era was over. They thought the days of hunting Soviet submarines across the Atlantic had vanished. But now, the warning signals are deafening, louder than they've been since 1989. Russian submarines are showing up unexpectedly off the UK coast, an unsettling pattern. The Kremlin's increased submarine operations and aggressive moves toward Europe have sparked urgent responses from London's military leaders, intelligence agencies, and top officials. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has publicly declared Russia a direct threat to national security. He warns that the danger is already present, and it's only intensifying. Russian aircraft menace our skies, ships tiptoe through our waters, and covert movements threaten our very streets. The most chilling alarm, however, comes from Air Marshal Sir Richard Nidin, Chief of the Royal Air Force. He issues a stark warning: young men and women of Britain must be prepared to fight. Meanwhile, MI6 Chief Blaise Metraweli sends a blunt message to Vladimir Putin himself: no illusions remain. Any hostility from Russia will meet firm support for Ukraine and mounting pressure on Moscow. Now, let's shift our focus back to the English Channel, where Russian submarines and their support vessels have been under constant surveillance. This waterway is the world's busiest shipping route. The appearance of the Kilo-class submarine Krasnodar, armed with cruise missiles, turned this vital corridor into a frontline battleground. The Krasnodar was tracking the British coast, surveillance that looked straight out of a spy novel. It wasn't alone. Accompanied by a tugboat, the submarine was prowling along the shoreline, as if hunting for something hidden. The tension lasted for 3 relentless days. The Royal Navy, RAF, and NATO forces monitored every movement of the submarine and its escort, ready for the worst. What if the sub had plunged beneath the waves? Would Britain's defenses hold? Or would this be the trigger for something much darker? The clock is ticking, things are escalating faster than anyone expected. Following the tense pursuit of the Russian submarine Krasnodar, the UK realized traditional tracking methods are no longer enough. Ships and helicopters, while effective, are costly and fatigue the Navy. The question loomed: how can Britain stay ahead in this invisible war beneath the waves? The answer lies in revolutionary technology: artificial intelligence-driven maritime defense. The UK Ministry of Defence has launched a cutting-edge program to harness the power of AI for ocean monitoring. This isn't science fiction, it's now. The strategy involves deploying autonomous surface vessels, robotic boats capable of patrolling for months without crews, silently scanning the depths. Accompanying these are underwater gliders, stealthy drones that listen carefully for submarine signatures in the abyss. Imagine a network so intelligent it can instantly tell the difference between whales, fishing vessels, and hostile submarines. This digital ocean is transforming how nations defend their waters. Instead of hours of human sonar listening, AI systems flag threats in seconds. When a Russian submarine enters Sector 7, the command center immediately receives an alert. This rapid response is crucial, especially against Russia's shadow fleet, dozens of old tankers used for smuggling oil, their transponders deliberately turned off to hide their true purpose. The new sensors, developed by 26 different companies, can detect these ships by tracking visual and acoustic signatures. This approach is not just about security, it's about economic resilience. With oil sanctions tightening, London can now identify illegal vessels attempting to evade restrictions, controlling the flow of billions in illegal profits. The UK is investing over £14 million into this technology, aiming for a fully operational system by 2026. The question remains: how long can adversaries hide in the shadows while Britain's digital eyes continue to watch? Imagine the silent hum of underwater drones, their sensors weaving a web of detection across vast ocean zones. The stakes are higher than ever. In a world where invisible threats lurk beneath the waves, Britain is pioneering a new era of maritime surveillance, smarter, faster, and more relentless than any enemy could have predicted. Yet, as these innovations unfold, the true question persists: are nations truly prepared for the depths of this new underwater war? The UK's recent aggressive stance stems from a critical crossing of a dangerous line by Russia. Just last November, a shocking incident unfolded near Scotland's coast that reveals the depths of our tension. Think back to that cold, overcast day, the air heavy with anticipation.
RAF pilots flying their sleek jets noticed an unusual disturbance.
The Russian spy ship Yentar was lurking dangerously close to vital underwater infrastructure, near cables that carry most of the world's internet traffic. Suddenly, the crew of Yentar aimed military-grade lasers directly at the cockpit. The sharp, piercing beam cut through the gray sky, a hostile act designed to threaten and intimidate. It could have blinded those pilots instantly, causing catastrophic accidents beneath the waves.
Such brazen hostility could escalate any moment. Defense Secretary John Healey's face hardened as he watched the footage. He declared, "We are prepared. The rules of engagement have shifted. British commanders now have the authority to respond more assertively to threats at sea. The gloves are coming off." But the UK's resolve isn't just about defending maritime boundaries. It's also about stopping a covert economic battle. Russia's shadow fleet, filled with old oil tankers with transponders turned off, operates covertly across the Atlantic. Using sophisticated AI, the UK monitors and exposes these vessels, infiltrating their concealment. London has invested £14 million to develop this system, enlisting 26 companies to craft sensors capable of identifying ships trying to hide their true identities. This cutting-edge network will become the eyes and ears of the Atlantic within a few years, by 2026. It can detect vessels visually and acoustically, uncovering illegal operations that threaten global security. Why? Because Russia's oil trade is at stake. By cracking down on shadow ships, London can cut off their insurance and bar them from ports, crippling their ability to profit from illicit oil exports. This isn't just a defense mechanism, it's an economic blockade, a strategic move to choke Russia's revenue streams. With every passing day, the growing threat becomes more undeniable. Russia's recent threats to the European Union echo loudly in London's corridors of power. President Putin has made it clear, he's prepared for conflict, even war. Now, the UK's top military leader, Air Marshal Sir Richard Knighton, has raised his voice, warning that sons and daughters must be ready. This isn't a distant threat anymore, it's the new reality. The old days of muscle-bound soldiers alone are gone. In this new era, submarines slip silently beneath the waves. Lasers cut through the night sky. Artificial intelligence scans the deep blue, identifying threats in real time. The UK recognizes that the next war won't be fought solely with armies. Entire industries, cyber defenses, navy forces, and intelligence networks are now part of the front line. So, ask yourself, how close are we to the brink? Can the UK withstand the relentless shadow play beneath the ocean's surface? Will AI and cyber warfare be enough to hold back the rising storm? The answers lie hidden in the depths, where new battles are already underway. The UK is signaling a shift toward a vastly more formidable military stance. No longer is it relying solely on traditional forces, instead, it's mobilizing every part of society to confront an invisible enemy lurking beneath the waves. They're rapidly ramping up ammunition production, strengthening cyber defenses to shield hospitals from digital onslaughts, and tasks forces more aggressively to keep crucial sea routes open against unpredictable covert threats. The era of peaceful complacency is over. Britain is transforming into a modern fortress, ready to defend its shores with advanced technology and unwavering resolve. Picture the map: Russian submarines expelled from strategic channels, clear warnings issued to covert vessels like the Yentar, now under strict engagement rules. Tiny AI sensors are being deployed deep below seawater. The country's leaders are openly preparing its people for a future where conflict could erupt at any moment. Vladimir Putin thought he could destabilize with submarines and laser attacks, but instead, he awakened a historic naval power. Britain's navy is now better armed, more resilient, and more determined than ever. This renewed strength rekindles a global rivalry, except this time, the battlefield extends far beyond human soldiers. Unmanned robots patrol the depths, while artificial intelligence commands the operation centers. But behind the scenes, darker strategies are unfolding. While the surface game plays out with submarines and lasers, the real fight is happening in the abyss, where light cannot penetrate. Shocking dangers loom beneath, unseen and silent. The dread isn't a single torpedo shot but the accidental severing of vital undersea cables and pipelines, those fragile nerves that keep the modern world alive. Russia is acutely aware that its conventional navy struggles against the Royal Navy and NATO's collective strength. After losses in Ukraine, Moscow's hopes for direct confrontation have dimmed. That's why the Kremlin has shifted to asymmetric tactics, silent sabotage on the ocean's floor, mapping, hacking, and strategic disruptions. The deep, frozen waters have become a new battleground, where even a tiny misstep could set off a chain reaction that throws global finances into chaos. Some believe the next major threat might be an accident, an unintentional cut through a fiber optic cable or energy pipeline. These are the nervous systems of our civilization: integral, vulnerable, easily targeted. In this shadowy realm, the true confrontation is unfolding, far from prying eyes, beneath layers of darkness, in a relentless game of unseen warfare. The question remains, how long can the surface shield hold, when the real battle is taking place in the depths? The foundation of Russia's strategic mindset lies deep beneath the ocean's surface. Russia fully understands it cannot compete with Britain's Royal Navy or NATO in a traditional conflict. Recent losses in the Ukraine conflict have significantly diminished Moscow's chances in symmetric warfare. That's why Vladimir Putin has shifted focus. Instead of direct confrontations, he relies on a doctrine of asymmetric warfare, striking from the shadows, disrupting from within. Imagine this: a covert unit known only as Gugi, hidden beneath the waves, operates in absolute secrecy. These naval specialists, called hydronauts, descend to the ocean's deepest points. They listen carefully, cutting cables or planting explosives on vital pipelines. While the Russian submarine Krasnodar captures attention above the water, a miniature submarine could be silently targeting the fiber optic lines linking Britain to the world. What if these critical cables are severed? It's not just about social media freezing or videos stopping. The impact could be devastating. Within seconds, trillions of dollars worth of data flow could shut down. The London Stock Exchange, banking systems, and digital infrastructure could be frozen in an instant. The Kremlin knows the stakes. Disrupting the UK's digital backbone isn't about an invasion, it's about destabilization. It's about injecting chaos into the economic and financial systems. When the Air Marshal warns that citizens must be prepared, he is referencing more than military threats. He's talking about the risk of digital and economic suffocation. Russia's true goal isn't just a physical conquest, it's a cunning attempt to weaken Britain from within, from the inside. Let's revisit the geographical chessboard. Russia's northern fleet, based in Murmansk, is like a giant net trapped in icy waters. The only gateway to the Atlantic runs through a narrow corridor, the Guyot Gap, between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK. During Cold War days, this stretch was the world's most watched waterway. Forgotten for decades, it has now re-emerged as a zone of unprecedented danger. Russian submarines aim to break free here. Krasnodar's daring run through the English Channel is no accident. It's Moscow's bold message: you cannot confine us to the north. We are in your backyard, lurking, waiting, ready to strike. But this strategy carries immense peril for Russia. What if their daring gamble triggers a response they can't control? The stakes have never been higher, and the risks of escalating conflict are lurking just beneath the surface, ready to erupt at any moment. The region is perilously close to becoming the most hazardous in the world. Krasnodar's daring cruise through the English Channel signals Russia's bold attempt to shatter this dangerous status quo. Moscow is sending a clear message: in their eyes, the containment zone is a trap. They are invading what was once considered NATO's backyard, proving their reach extends far beyond traditional borders. But this risky maneuver comes with heavy consequences. The British, along with allies, have reactivated the Keflavik base in Iceland, transforming it into a hub of vigilance with P-8 Poseidon aircraft patrolling relentlessly. Each Russian submarine's passage is meticulously logged, its acoustic signature recorded in NATO's databases. Once detected, these vessels retreat from predator to prey, vulnerable and monitored. Behind this high-stakes game, Russia is battling its own internal chaos. Maintaining advanced subs like Krasnodar is becoming a nightmare under harsh Western sanctions. The shortage of high-tech components threatens to confine their fleet to port, unable to operate at full strength. British intelligence knows all too well the fragility of Russian vessels.
The fact that Krasnodar was escorted by a tug isn't a show of strength but a sign of their doubt. They don't trust their own technology. They fear engine failures or systems breakdowns far from safety, risking capture or destruction. This dilapidated reality exposes the false image of Russia as an unstoppable superpower. Yet, Britain remains alert. From the RAF Losemouth base in Scotland, Typhoon fighters aren't just defending airspace. They stand as a barrier against Putin's expanding ambitions across Europe. For the British people, the peaceful decades of the Cold War are gone forever. Instead, increasing military spending has become an urgent necessity, even if it means sacrificing some hospitals or schools. The view from Krasnodar's periscope paints a different picture. It sees an island fortress, heavily armed, constantly on alert. What really happened in those 3 days in the English Channel? It was much more than a routine transit. It was a glimpse into the future of naval conflict. On one side, Russia clings to worn-out grandeur, fighting sanctions and internal decay. On the other, a modern, strategic alliance stands poised. The stakes are higher than ever. Now, the question remains: how much longer can Russia's dangerous game go undetected? And what will be the cost if it finally loses control? The other side, however, is the West, now fortified with cutting-edge artificial intelligence and reinforced alliances. Yet, their economies remain fragile, teetering on the edge. The warning from Air Marshal Knighton is clear: preparations are essential. Because today's warfare isn't confined to battlefields, it invades our digital infrastructure, energy supplies, and even the depths beneath our shores. The Atlantic Ocean, once a natural barrier, has transformed into the new battlefield. A single mistake, a fleeting misjudgment, could ignite hellish chaos in those icy waters, transforming peace into catastrophe within seconds. The future remains uncertain, but the UK is no longer gambling with luck. Sensors are alert, missiles are primed, and vigilant eyes scan the horizon. The game has shifted, no more waiting. The new reality has begun. What are your thoughts on this emerging threat? We eagerly await your insights and reflections. Thank you for watching. The British coastline was under immediate threat. The Russian submarine Krasnodar, along with its tugboat, had been creeping stealthily along the waters, almost as if on a secret reconnaissance mission. For 3 tense days, the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, and NATO allies meticulously tracked every movement. The stakes had never been higher. If the submarine tried to hide beneath the waves, the Royal RAF was prepared to strike in an instant. This was no longer training, this was the new face of European defense. Just months earlier, a Russian spy ship aimed a laser directly at a Royal Navy aircraft, threatening a dangerous escalation. That aircraft, a P-8 Poseidon, was designed to spy, to map underwater cables, the lifelines of communication and power. The hostile act wasn't part of an exercise, it was a message. NATO had to ask, would the Royal Forces have destroyed Krasnodar if it submerged? Kilo-class submarines are known for their eerie silence beneath the surface. NATO calls them the black hole for this reason. Krasnodar isn't just a quiet menace, it's armed with torpedoes and cruise missiles that could strike London from the sea. Yet, in a coordinated effort, RAF Typhoons, in tandem with the P-8s, could have targeted the submarines at any moment. No attack was launched, yet the threat remained real and immediate. As Krasnodar moved from the North Sea to the Atlantic, it surfaced in a calculated show of confidence. The British didn't hesitate. They deployed the RFA Tidesurge, a colossal support vessel, to follow its trail. You might wonder, why bring a tanker? The answer is chilling. Mounted on its deck was a Merlin Mk2 helicopter, an advanced submarine hunter, lightning-fast and deadly. Stormy seas roared around them, but the helicopter's sensors were unshakable. The crew, led by Captain James Allen, worked seamlessly day and night for 3 relentless days. Allen described their mission vividly: the team's precision, professionalism, and unwavering focus kept the threat at bay. The collaboration across NATO was seamless. United, they moved through the ocean's treacherous currents, weaving an invisible net. From the North Sea to the English Channel, their combined presence was undeniable. But the question lingered: will this relentless surveillance be enough? Or is something even darker lurking beneath the surface?